This is Zoom feed. It's switched off. No, I can see. It's off. Just switch it on. Okay, and then just align it. That's fine. Okay, Chair, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade GS. I want to welcome all the members that are here, all the viewers and the PECs that have joined us tonight. My name is Stephanie Lockman. I am the National Chairperson and Acting Deputy President of the PBICT. And I will be taking all the viewers tonight just through a couple of minutes of an overview of the PBICT and what we stand for, as well as some of our structures and our purpose and aims and objectives before we start the official membership induction. So I'm going to start with the overview of the PBICT. We are a registered NPC with SIPSI, and we are a group of people and SMMEs who are active in the ICT and communications sector through employment, business, and education. Our main objective is to open access and advocate for ownership to ensure that Africans in general and Black people in particular benefit from these sectors. Through our radical economic transformation mantra, we aim to open up a variety of opportunities for our members. Some of our sectors are software, hardware, networking, Internet of Things, telecommunications, legal and compliance, legislation, policy, education, supplies and sales, and professional services. We are active on all social media platforms. Our website is www.pbict.org.za. On Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, you can find us on the handle at We Are PBICT. Our vision is to see the ICT sector fully transformed, ensuring full access and ownership to Black people in particular and Africans in general. Our mission is to achieve the revolution of South Africa by working with all those who share the common purpose with us, which is access and ownership in mainstream ICT economy. The background that I'll quickly take everyone through is that we came together in Durban at the Hilton Hotel back in 2017. We realized that there is a need for a structure like this. We then took advantage of the radical economic transformation agenda driven by the ANC at the time, and we then resolved to organize ourselves into a PBICT NPC. We then lobbied 9 provinces, and we had about 350 members at the time. We then launched on the 6th and 7th of May 2017, and the IEC officially launched the structure. We had 100 founding members, and we then established the PBICT NPC, which now has over 3,000 members in all 9 provinces. Our purpose as PBICT is to ensure that Black people have full access to the ICT mainstream economy, and that we also advance the agenda to ensure that as a country, we produce technology more than we consume it. The character of PBICT is that we are a progressive organization that align ourselves to the revolution of South Africa, and we strive to ensure equity through radical economic transformation. We identify ourselves as being one of the leaders of the revolution in terms of economy and participation in that mainstream ICT economy. We are a non-racial, non-sexist organization, and we focus on transforming the ICT sector to benefit Black people as well as Black SMMEs. We ensure that our policy and position is determined by the membership, and its leadership is accountable to the membership in terms of procedures laid down by our constitution. In our composition and functioning, we are unitary, democratic, and follow these key principles: inclusivity, engagement, and communalism. We cooperate closely with a vision of radical economic transformation in South Africa, and we create a platform for an exchange of ideas, and we will encourage open debates on all organizational and sectoral related issues, which include but not limited to the following: political, economic, social, legislation, and technological aspects. We wish to be one of the leaders in the ICT sector for economic transformation in our time. We also want to partake in the sector related to programs in Africa, and we seek to empower the continent and its people. We will also challenge any system that excludes Black people from participation. We further support the leader of South African Revolution and its government. And where PBICT disagrees, we will also voice that disagreement. Our aims and objectives as an organization is to unite all South Africans in the sector who subscribe to radical economic transformation. We want to create an enabling environment which gives Black people a minimum of 70% of the mainstream economic positions in the sector. We want to lead the agenda of eradicating the digital divide and bring about equality and universal access for all South Africans. We want to support and advise stakeholders on policy directions of the sector. We also want to coordinate innovation in South Africa. We want to build relations with public and private stakeholders. We want to advance the international agenda of protecting the environment and promoting green technology in South Africa. We also want to develop youth and women who are also marginalized in the ICT sector. We further want to open doors of opportunity for Black SMMEs in the sector, and we will challenge any system that promotes and allows monopolization of the sector by a few. Some of our activities are to engage stakeholders, organize Black people and SMMEs in the sector to achieve transformation, influence and develop skills and content production in the sector, promote and develop manufacturing of locally designed and produced products. We want to bridge the digital divide and eradicate the gap between the have and the have-nots. We want to grow the organization and ensure representation in all provinces. We also want to create a sense of awareness in society and make maximum usage of technology. And we also want to establish international relations towards the achievement of our objectives. We further want to encourage the youth and women to participate and take control of this sector. Now, as the PBICT and the NEC, we have resolved to adopt certain programs that run throughout all the provinces. We have resolved to establish provincial cooperatives that must implement projects as part of the PBICT. We have launched a program that's called Internet for All because we believe that data must fall and it must become an essential service like water and electricity. We also wish to see that the monopoly currently held by 4 or 5 telcos is broken and that our SMMEs can get access and participation into this economy. We also want to lead the mantra of local economy and local innovation, where we are not just consuming, but that we are also producing and locally manufacturing products in South Africa. Our last aim and one of our last programs, as resolved by the NEC, is to see that we established local repair centers that can repair devices via our initiative called School by Day and Varsity by Night. We wish to see that these centers can operate and train the youth, as well as transfer skills to any person that is wishing to participate in the sector and through PBICT. So in short, this is what we are currently busy with, and this is what we are currently doing. As a report from my desk is that to the last couple of months, we've seen an exponential growth of interest in the PBICT and our mantra, as well as we've seen us touch almost 10,000 people across these platforms in the last 3 weeks. So I would like to encourage all the members that are currently with us tonight and that will watch after this, that PBICT is a movement and it is a revolution. It is not just about you or just about what you want to achieve, but it is also about encouraging others and transferring that same skill and passion into our South Africa. We also wish to see that our members become economically active and that all of us can participate in mainstream economy. So with that, Comrade GS, I will close and then allow you to take over the program. Thank you very much, comrades.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, just quickly before you leave, I would just love you to just cover just one more thing as part of the office of the chairpersons. If you could just give us a quick overview of the responsibilities, not in a scientific way, just kind of like the philosophy of the office of the chairpersons and how it aligns to the advancement of PBICT. Thank you, Chair. And then after that, Chair, you'll be free. Thanks.
No, thank you very much, Comrade GS. Basically, if I can play it in short, as the national chairperson of the organization, I am the direct custodian of all policy and all legislative direction that the organization takes. I basically am the custodian of the Constitution, and I'm also the custodian of all policies, bylaws, and frameworks developed by the NGC at NEC. What I also do is that I am in charge of all NEC meetings, and I sort of guide the direction and the strategy as elaborated by our presidency and by the NEC as a whole. So if I can explain it in so that all of us can understand it, I basically must make sure that we carry out the strategy of the NEC as communicated through the president. And I think that is it further comes down to provinces to say the chairperson is also the political head of the organization in the province. It guides the whole PEC and the whole NEC on what the organization seems to achieve. If there's disputes and if there's issues in the province, the chairperson is the one that must give the vision and the direction in terms of how the province and the organization must function as a whole. From a governance perspective, the chairperson is the one that must make sure that every person is operating in its structure as dictated by the Constitution. It must make sure that the deputy chair, the provincial secretary, the treasurer general functions in their role from a governance perspective. So what the chairperson basically must make sure he or she does is that you must make sure that there's structures in place to implement programs if you are a province. Nationally, I must make sure that there's 9 structures in place that can implement the agenda as presented to us by the NEC and as resolved by the NEC. So the work of the chair is to make sure that it engages stakeholders. It's the face of the organization provincially. The face of the organization nationally is the presidency. The national chairperson also steps in for the presidency if he or she is unavailable. So basically, as the chairperson of the province, you are the head of that province and you must guide the province in terms of its political footprint, and you must engage stakeholders of that province and make sure that you represent the province well. What you also must do is you must call PEC meetings, make sure that the structures are there and are in place to implement the resolutions of the NEC. For example, if the deputy chair is in charge of special programs, the chairperson's duty is to make sure that the deputy chair understands his or her role and is implementing those special programs as directed by the NEC resolutions. The chairperson must also make sure that the treasurer understands his or her role and what he or her must do. So from a governance perspective, GS, the chairperson is the one that makes sure that it enforces that governance principle of ethical leadership, transparency, communication. It makes sure that the province can run. It makes sure that meetings, the chair must make sure that meetings are called and meetings are held. The chairperson must make sure that the PwC is intact and is operative. It must make sure that regions are coordinated and are set up. The functioning of those things depends on who is appointed as the coordinator of that program. So if the secretary must recruit and mobilize members, the chairperson, as a governance head, must make sure that the secretary is doing his or her job and is recruiting by virtue of reports. The chairperson is also the one that reports directly to the NEC and is an ex officio of the NEC with the provincial secretary. So to not make my submissions too long, I think the critical success and the critical role of a chairperson should not be underestimated. You need to have a strong chairperson that understands his or her role and how to lead. Basically, the chairperson is the leader of the province and must be a leader to his or her PEC. The chairperson is the one that must make sure that the NEC is well represented and that it must make sure that everything we seek to achieve from a tactical perspective and from a strategic perspective is implemented, because the NEC can't necessarily always implement programs provincially. So we depend largely on the success of the PEC to function and to maintain and to be active so that the programs work on a provincial level. If you have a weak chairperson, it affects the entire working of the whole province. So the chairperson is the head of the house, if we should put it like that. And the chairperson is the one that must provide direction at all times. It's the one that must provide vision at all times and understand what PBICT is about, and must also appreciate the vision and strategy of PBICT. So in short, GS, for me, that is the role of the chairperson. The chairperson can either break or make a successful province, GS. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I know you have quite a a hectic evening, and we fully appreciate your availability and the sacrifices that you've made to be available and to share this information with not only the leadership, but the membership of PBICT and also prospective members. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you.
I'll move to the next section, which I'll be presenting. I think we'll, the chair has covered some of the important aspects of PBICT, and I'll just run through some and maybe expand a bit more. And also, if someone is joining us now, I'd like to welcome you to the PBICT membership and leadership induction. And this is now has been adopted under the Steamie Fast Forward program as part of our webinars. So every time we have something that needs to move fast, be decisive, that members need to be part of and so we can get buy-in from them too. Normally Fast Forward will be able to handle that subject matter. And so this week, or rather this weekend, we used the Fast Forward platform to fast forward our members, but also fast forward our leaders so that we induct you much quicker into the organization and ensure that members know your role. So when someone sees no bala down the road or can call you and can chat to you, they need to know what your role is and what you as a leader, what your duties are to the membership. Because as PBICT, our task as leaders is we are leadership, but we report to the membership. We're leading for the benefit of the members, not for the benefit of ourselves. So as Chair has indicated, that we adopted the radical economic transformation, and I know presidents will be able to expand even further on that, but it's important for us to see any other form of liberation. Economic liberation is the first thing to that we need to achieve. We know that the ICT sector is a huge pie and contributes largely to the economy. And us as key players and important players, as Black people, African in particular, we must be able to be serious players. We need to be able to contribute in a very, very important manner. And also, we'll be serving our people because we know our problems. So the importance of Black people being in the forefront of the economy is because we understand and we know the problems. Some of us are living in the cities, but we have relatives in Makaya, in the homelands, in small towns. So we understand how ICT impacts our people, where the lack is and so forth. And once we are the leaders, we ensure that we're able to service those people because they've been marginalized by those who don't care about us and those who don't see us as a priority in the homelands and in the small towns. So that's why it's important that we continuously mark ourselves as the leaders of radical economic transformation in the ICT sectors, because we want to ensure that every Black person who participates in ICT is a key player. You play an important role and you're contributing to the economy. And whatever government spend is, most of that government spend is coming to us. The minimum that we want to see is that 70% that Chair spoke about. So that's why this PBICT is so important, that we continuously fight the fight that we're fighting, because we know it's a fight that will put our people forward. And we consider our people first because we know our problems. We're the majority in this country. So that's why it's important. So as part of our programs, it's good to understand that, and even just narrowing it down, is that we are a non-profit independent organization, and we represent the interests of Black people in the ICT sector while being the leaders of radical economic transformation. And that's very, very important to understand. And the Chair has touched on that, and I know that the President will be able to elaborate in his way how these words are important. Us being non-profit, obviously the interests of Black people, the ICT sector, and the radical information part. Obviously, what we want to do is, when you are part of PBICT, we want to build a better ICT sectors. We know these sectors are wide and they're quite vast and they need different specialities. But at the end of the day is if we play our role in ensuring that we're building strong structures, we have great support, then we are able to for member, whether leader or not, every single member of PBICT, that's our biggest dream, is to ensure that every member benefits. But we need to be able to we need to be supportive. We need to attend to programs and we need to work together as an organization. And mainly also is we need to be able to utilize our secretariats and them understanding their duties is also very important. So this illustration that you're seeing on the right side of the screen, I think it's on the right side of everyone's screen, is that support means absolutely everything. We need to really work together to achieve what we want to achieve. And once we get to the mountaintop, we'll be able to do that. And as PBICT, as we move forward, these are the aspects that we look at that are part of our value-based system. Is one to look at engaging. That means that is what we normally do. There's fights that we fight. These are fights around spectrum. So we continuously get alliance partners that we move forward with, ensuring that we fight for the spectrum, not because not only for organizations to for the people to benefit, because we understand the fight, like the fight for WOAN, is is an important one, because it will then level out the playing field and enable more service ISPs to come on board, meaning that the cost of the service will start reducing because of the competition in the market. So we know that the big players don't want to see that, because they know that it threatens their huge overinflated price points that they charge our people and pretty much rape us on price. So that engagement is one of those that are continuous. Other engagements that we have as PBICT are engagements that you'd find at CETA in terms of transformation. We're big on transformation. Transformation is not only on looking at ensuring that Black people are playing key roles in organizations, but we're also looking at the gender and also age that transformation happens, because we're very cognizant of that as PBICT. And that's why we even have different structures that allow for women to be able to express and be able to deal with isolated issues that women face in the sector, and also youth and students. So this fight here is multi-layered, and that level of engagement also is very multi-layered. So when we look at another engagement, obviously we look at the ICASA fight that we've been fighting for, when we're looking at barriers to entry to get licenses, how we can reduce that, because that was part of an engagement. I think it was last year. You'll forgive my memory. Lack of sleep does that to you. But we engaged ICASA head on in a public meeting, and we told them the things that we believe in as PBICT. So we ensure that our voice is heard, and the things that we stand for, importantly, is that the things that our members need are heard. We'll be continuously engaging other organizations under DTPS, from your SABCs, Santec, and so forth. Wherever we need to go into within the ICT sector, we'll ensure that. And the lovely thing is we're guided by Steamie too, that allows us now to identify those areas that we need to go to, because if we're looking at all of these aspects, we are looking at something that needs to be guided, and our framework is Steamie, because we know then what are we fighting for and who we're fighting for. Obviously, we need to promote. So by engaging, but part of our promotion is also creating things like these webinars that we've been creating, yet again guided by the Steamie, and that's that. And by us promoting, we ensure that our message goes out. People know what we fight about, what we're all about, and they are able to come on board and become members. And by doing these webinars, we've seen an increase on social media in terms of likes, subscriptions on YouTube, and also there's been an uptake on members There's been an increase of members that we've been seeing ever since we started doing these webinars. So we also want to continuously promote PBICT, promote our message, and promote the fact that we are the leaders of radical economic transformation in ICT sectors, and how we do that also. Bridging is very important because there's been a wide gap, not only technology, but there's just a gap of access as a whole. So access and ownership is very, very important. So we want to bridge these gaps that are between us as ICT service providers and governments. We want to bridge a gap with transformation, ensuring that SMMEs are represented in bid requirements and so forth, and ensure that the environment is conducive for SMMEs to build and to grow. And also for people who have ESD programs and so forth, must be able to speak to us. Call us if you an ESD, a person in ESD, call us. We have plenty SMMEs who need assistance, and a variety of assistance, from office space to funding and so forth. So bridging that that's what we're bridging. We want to bridge that gap between a variety of things that have separated us and have created a lot of distance. As we've been seeing the lovely work done by EDTIA or ETIA in KZN, they've been doing a very similar thing. Is they've been speaking to the public in that variety, and we encourage the very same thing. And here's us supporting them as much as we can with the platform and ensuring that the voices are heard. We want to encourage. So we want to encourage our members to know that they're not alone. They need to fight this fight, and they're not alone. There is a provincial representation and there's national representation. And we are strategically placed in certain places. So you know that, as they say in Zulu, there's nothing like struggling and struggling alone. We are struggling together until we struggle no more. And that's what the Encourage is about. We want to encourage that our members know that they are not alone, that leadership is not alone. So when you go out there, you ensure that you know that you have an entire team of over 2,000 people who are fighting the exact same fight as you are. So you have people, you have brothers and sisters in the struggle of ensuring that you have access, and eventually you'll be able to have ownership. Then we move to create. What we're looking at creating is we want to create opportunities also for our members. So members need to have opportunities, work opportunities, and so forth. So I will give just a very quick story. Recently, we were engaged by a certain entity, and they were a group of people doing certain things, and the project that they were building is very human capital intensive. Unfortunately, their request was to get SMMEs and owners of SMMEs to sacrifice their time to build this thing here. But at the end of the day, there wasn't anything at the end for SMMEs to really benefit. Unfortunately, we had to tell them that we can't further engage because we can't identify where our members will benefit. We can't send our members to the wolves to be used or anything. We want to create opportunities. And that's why create is very important. We want to create opportunities, create a platform where members will be able to engage, be able to have access to opportunities, and have access to owning part of this economy via and through ICT. Yet we want to organize. Organizing is very important, that we get together and we organize. We need to speak. We need to see where our problems are. We need to catalog our problems, catalog our fights, and go out into the ICT sectors with a very, very strategic and a very clear way of how we're going to do it and how we're going to do it. How we're going to fight our fight, and being organized also is very important, because that's why we have a national structure and we have provincial structures. And once we organize, we're able to have spearheads, we're able to have a head, we're able to have a neck, we're able to have a shoulder and bodies and feet that will be able to go out into the industry and fight this good fight. Grow. So this touches very much on the secretariat also, because growing is very important. We want to grow our reach, and hence we promote, is because we want to grow. And hence we encourage, because that'll be part of our growth also as an organization, that we want to get more people who are struggling the way we are struggling, to fight this fight not alone, and to ensure that this growth of the organization touches the people that it needs to touch. So we can do all the other things that we need to do. We want to influence. So by engaging and promoting, it's very important that we get in and we influence, meaning that our voice will be heard and will be taken serious. The fact that we have provincial structures, the fact that we have a functioning NEC and functioning provincial structures is part of our influence, because they see that we are organized. That's so our influence will be very clear, because we have a strict mandate to our members to ensure that they have access and ownership, and that's very important. And then, so we need to establish all of these structures in place. We need to, and once we establish, we are able to organize, we're able to engage, promote, we're able to encourage. So by establishing ourselves, making ourselves known that we're there, ensuring that they know why we exist and what we fight for, and continuing the hard battle, that helps us a lot with our fight and helps us a lot with our mandate. In a nutshell, this is the things that are part of our value system, comrades. Is to promote, grow, organize, engage, influence, bridge, encourage, create, and establish. As Chair has mentioned also, our members, people in, this is an overview of our members. We're not going into the details, but if you are in software, you create software, you just play in the software space, you are a member. You're eligible to be a member. You're in hardware, you're eligible to be our member, whether in the manufacturing phase, whether in the reselling and all of those type of things. If you're in networking, largely networking will be, it'll be a wide variety of anyone in networking, you're eligible. If you're in web services, Internet of Things, you are a member, you're eligible to be a member. Come on board, register, sign up, be a member. If you're in telecoms, you know that telecommunication is a very serious hot topic now. Our air, unlike the land, we need to fight for it and ensure it doesn't land in the wrong hands. So telecommunications, if you're in telecommunications, please be part of it. So telecommunications and networking are brother and sister, and they're kind of like twin brother and sisters, because when you start thinking of wireless broadband, all of these type of things, these things are pair and pair. They work together. The people in telecommunications need network specialists, not only to connect offices and so forth, but to be able to connect a complete network of devices and to have connectivity. So we're not only looking at 3G and 4G towers and 5G towers, but we're also looking at broadband internet. Media and advertising is what we call creative services. So if you're in media, you're in news and so forth, you are a member because you're part of the communications part also of ICT. If you're in broadcast, whether you do audio in broadcast or whether you do visual in broadcast, you are a member. You're a graphic designer, whether you design for the web, you design for television, you design for print, it doesn't matter. You are a member. If you're in robotics, you are a member, as if tomorrow we're having a class on robotics for kids. So if you're in robotics, whether you're building simple systems or complex systems, robotics, you need to join and be part of our membership. If you're in electronics, circuit boards, all of these type of things, ensure that you are a member. If you're in ICT and media education, so if you're a lecturer, you're lecturing graphic design, you're lecturing ICT in terms of networking or whatever the case may be, come on board. If you own a training company that has these programs in there, the ICT-orientated programs, come on board. If you in professional services also, meaning that you build strategies, ICT strategies and so forth, come in. And if you also a professional working for a company, whether they're in software or hardware, it doesn't matter. You are a member. ICT supplies and sales. So anyone, if you're in resale, you develop or you just purely in reselling ICT equipment, you own a little computer store, you part of it also. You're eligible to be a member. So we'll quickly look at our programs. A quick overview: access and ownership, internet for all, local is Moja, leaders of industry, school by day and varsity by night. So access and ownership is very important, comrades. It's the thing it's the overarching program that drives absolutely everything. And under that overarching program, that's where Steamie now fits in as a framework that guides us on how to move forward. But access and ownership is the one fundamental thing that we fight for. School by day, varsity by night, extremely important, because now our schools now will have a new life and have repurpose. So when you come out from work in the evening after having supper, you should be able to still go into a classroom, a physical classroom structure to do courses where you can be trained and so forth. So we're not only, the schools are not only one-trick ponies, and they're not only working during the day, they're working through the night also. So that encourages further education, post-high school, and also skills development in the ICT space. So the varsity by night is a very, very important aspect. And now we're practicing varsity by night by having these webinars that will enable us also to learn more things. And that's why we have our master classes, because it is a class, right? It's a virtual class that you'll be able to watch today, and tomorrow you informed enough to start in a particular career path or have more information to go deeper. Local is Moja. When we're talking about manufacturing, whether it's software development or manufacturing, local is Moja. Whether we're talking about programs that need to be developed, training programs in ICT that are in environment. You know, I envision us in a very near future is where we can have training for specific equipment for broadband networks for the South African environment, where you can have a training if you want to be active in the Eastern Cape. You have a specific training or masterclass that tells you about the terrain and the weather and how to configure. If you're in KZN, you have the same thing. So those are the things that we're seeing as part of Rulis Moja. It's not only on the manufacturing of things and the assembly of things physical, we're also looking at how can we have localized training for the environment that we live in South Africa. So it doesn't matter whether it's anything that the world has to offer, we can bring it here. When you're talking about AI, training for AI here in South Africa or on the continent, because we want to be able to identify our problems here and then create solutions for our problems. Same goes with software, developing of games and so forth. So local is Moja is a very, very serious and a very big part of our programs. Internet for all. I think this fight here is a fight that will never feel any exhaustion. We'll continuously fight for this. The backbone of everything that we'll be doing is going to be on connectivity. The fourth industrial revolution, the backbone of the fourth industrial revolution relies on connectivity, and fast connectivity that is. Hence, there's been a push for 5G. So internet for all is so, so important that this is a fight that even if you're not an ISP, you need to fight for it. Why? Because things like the WAN and so forth, we need to fight for them to ensure that we are able to decrease the barriers of entry, so we have access to connectivity. We need connectivity, comrades. The economic growth is in connectivity. Internet-based services are the biggest economic growth right now. Right now, if we look at the top 3 earning companies are in technology, and part of what they have is connectivity. They are able to build services on the internet. Amazon is thriving because of internet connectivity. We want to be able to see our own Amazon or Taobao or I forgot the other name that we know it as. We need to be able to also have our own e-malls and so forth. So connectivity is the key. And big companies, Uber, Airbnb, they're all operating on connectivity. Without connectivity, those companies are nothing. Apple, Microsoft, the works, they all run on connectivity. So internet for all is very important on 2 levels, on the providers and on the users. I'll quickly just go through this. These are snippets from the Constitution, comrades. So I'll just leave it on screen for now, so I can also have enough time for my other comrades to go through. And also all the no-balas, we will also be able to have our own conversation to unpack this. There are other documents that I have, and then when we do our meeting, we'll be able to expand more on these. And I think next week, Tuesday, will be our meeting dates to really expand on this, because the things that are important is membership health is something that's very important. So these are the responsibilities of the secretariat. You know, so it's communicating decisions of the NEC. You know, keeping meetings. So it's very administrative. It's very administrative heavy. We're looking at the conducts correspondence of the NEC and how we send notices and all of these type of things. So comrades, I'll just leave this on screen for a while, just so we can see, but this is there. It's 8.7.5 as part of the Constitution. So as you can see, that the office of the secretary is basically the admin. It's the general secretary is the custodian of administration to ensure that there's some kind of functionality within the organization, and has oversight over the membership system, meaning that they look at it, making sure that the membership system is there, it's functional, making sure that the website is there and it's functional. The Deputy General Secretary obviously is the deputy, but has their own functions. And as many of you know, the elected Deputy General Secretary and the Deputy General Secretary now, because Brandon Redcliffe has taken a leave of absence to get things organized. So he had requested that. So I'd assume naturally, we, as the Deputy General Secretary then assumes the functions in the absence of the provincial, as you see in 8.7.6.e. So the function that I'm rolling now has been activated through that particular clause in the Constitution. So the office of the General Secretary is a supportive but very technical part of the operations of the organization. So when you're looking at managing the membership system, meaning that you also have to manage what happens with the members. So you're looking at the growth and sustainability of the organization lies in the hands of the General Secretary also. And executing day-to-day things, setting up meetings, making sure the meetings are there, making sure minutes have been captured by the scriber, making sure that all of these type of things are done. And that's the most important thing, but it's very, and also looks at implementing the plans and strategies of the PBICT, and that's why the day-to-day operations are very important. When we look at a provincial secretary, and you can see that they become an ex officio member of the NEC, meaning that they are part of NEC, extended NEC meetings, and they also have a voice. And also they can escalate the problems that are faced by the province, obviously communicating the decisions, and very similarly to the General Secretary of the organization, the Provincial Secretary will have similar functions, but be able to carry out those on a provincial level, which are unique in every single province. So things like preparing aspects of annual reports, things like conducting correspondence on behalf of the PECs, so collecting the information, administrating and delegating on the membership system, to oversee planning, to delegate executions, and to also present at the PAGMs and AGMs in terms of the status of the province and so forth. And also in the absence of a provincial chair, then the provincial secretary will then assume those functions and be able to continue with the province. So the province is never crippled, and be able to convene meetings. And lastly, in this presentation is that the deputy provincial secretary also will have, as I say, it's a chief executor of the daily activities, and it's important that the provincial deputy Nobala knows these things and is able to assist the provincial in the provincial secretary with strategies and the plans, and also manage the membership system on behalf of the province. So meaning that when you look, you need to make sure that all members the information is always there. You know the head count of the membership in the province, and those type of things. And you can also look at the growth and all of these type of things based off of the dates that people have become members, because they'll have all of that information. So also prepare documents like reports for the provincial secretary when required, and just be that assistance where you can. But you know, you have your dedicated tasks that you have, and obviously in the absence of a provincial secretary, the deputy provincial secretary would then assume those functions, but still carry out those functions. And if they choose, they are able to get someone who be in an acting position to ensure that there is some kind of functionality. So comrades, I'd like to thank you. Let me just stop my share here. Oh, is it still sharing? Just check. All right. Where can I do stop sharing now? Okay, comrades, I'm just trying to stop the share. I don't know what happened. I'm saying resume share. Oh, there is it. Thanks. Okay, yeah, my computer was doing some funny things. So, comrades, thank you very much for the listening in to everyone. Those who are listening and watching in from home, to all the members, and also to all the leaders who are in this room. Sorry, comrades, I'm just making sure that comrade TG is here.
Yeah.
So comrade TG, I was just double checking if comrade TG is here. So we still have a presentation from the president, which will be the closing presentation of the session. We're an hour in, so I think we're still very good with time. So TG will also give us a run through. TG, once you're in, please just let us know. I know connectivity is a bit of a problem. And I'm also allowing some other comrades to join in, other leaders to join in here. Comrade TG? Sbu? Okay.
No, thanks, GS. I just needed to highlight and emphasize the importance of comrades understanding the structural aspects of the organization. I'm not sure if can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, TG. So TG, can I then give you the floor, and then you can open, and then you can run us through your presentation? Is that fine?
Oh, okay.
Yes, so you'll officially have the floor. Comrade TG?
Hey, Chair. Okay. I was battling over echo.
Yes, yes. I saw that.
Okay.
So, Comrade TG, yes, you officially have the floor, Comrade TG. Thank you.
Yeah. One wanted to just highlight the importance of comrades understanding the structural aspects. I think that I've got a technical problem here, GS. Let me just sort it out and then I'll come through.
Okay, TG, no problem. Okay, comrades, while TG is getting ready, and the president also is just getting ready to present to us. I think that's when there's going to be a more powerful. It will be a very powerful presentation, and he'll really be expanding on PBICT. So, comrades, PBICT, in terms of just expanding on some of the functions of the Secretariat on our side, is also to ensure membership health. Membership health is important. Why? Because these are the custodians of the organization, ensuring that there's some benefit that they see, they have access to opportunities. So the Secretariat will always ensure that membership health is there, and also by holding and hosting activities within the province to ensure members know and see each other. So as part of the Secretariat and also powered by the presidency, we were able to have the webinar, and they are part of membership health. And then once Comrade TG is ready, he'll just let me know. It looks like I can see him now. We have visual. Let me spotlight your screen, TG, and you take it from there. Thank you, TG. Thank you all the members. TG, you have the floor.
You can unmute yourself, TG.
Oh. Okay, thank you very much, comrades. I'm going to take you through a very brief presentation, but that would give a bit of some detail about the role largely of the Office of Treasurers in the PBICT. But our main focus is merely on ensuring that we are able to actually mobilize the necessary resources that would enable the organization to function and function in an appropriate manner. I'm just trying to share my screen. Okay. Not sure if you are able to see my screen, comrades.
Yes, we can see. You can see TG.
Yes, leadership.
Okay. Because I wanted to make sure that we're on the same page. As you can see, comrades, our main focus as the Treasury Office, as we've indicated, that it pertains to mobilization of resources, be they financial and or other resources that are required in the execution of the work PBICT. Hence, we are focused on raising funds, among other things. So as you can see there, that we're talking a lot more about resource mobilization, and also as to how, as individual members and the public at large, we can be able to actually come on board and actually assist the PBICT.
So sorry, TG. Could you do full screen, please?
Okay. Okay. Not on full screen.
F5, leader. F5.
Okay.
TG, we can also see your notes.
Oh, okay. So that's
Yes. Slideshow.
Yeah.
For slideshow. Swap
Thank you.
for slideshow.
I'm sure we all
there you go. There you
getting
go.
a full screen now.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is largely, comrades, the overview of our presentation as to what we'll be talking to. As you can see on your screen, in looking at the constitutional, the amended constitution of the PBICT, and I'm not going to go into each and every single item on this, but I've just highlighted, as you can see, we've highlighted the clauses on the constitution as to that it's on clause 8.7.4, and it's subclause 6 that talks to the Office of the Treasurer General, and you will see the information for yourself if you go to the Constitution. But what we wanted to just also highlight is that if you read the Constitution, especially at clause H, you will note that this clause should not be read in isolation. It needs to be read together with clause 874, subsection 1, and the subclause I, because there's a relationship there that is created by the Constitution in terms of how this office functions in that regard. Wise comrades is a clause that talks to the Deputy Treasurer General, and equally, I'm not going to dwell much on it because we all would have access to the Constitution, and then we can go through it on our own at our leisure. Other aspect that one wanted to also touch on, I think in relation to the composition of structures, Chair, I wanted to highlight this because you end up getting a lot of confusion. You hear comrades saying the provincial TG or the provincial SG or that type of thing. Comrades, the PBICT is a unitary organization. There can only be one SG and there can only be one TG. And the others, as the Constitution outlines, are generally your deputy, your provincial treasurers, provincial secretaries, and so on. And I thought we need to highlight that aspect so that comrades are au fait with that reality or with those facts. Furthermore, I think in terms of the provincial treasurer, because the Constitution also outlines the role that needs to be played by the provincial treasurer, because we have provincial treasurers of the PBICT in all the 9 provinces in South Africa. So the role of the provincial treasurers is outlined in the Constitution in clause 8985 as reflected on the presentation. So we need to familiarize ourselves with those as well. Also, the Constitution directs us in terms of sources of funding as to what sort of funding mechanisms or instruments can we look at in terms of ensuring that we are able to advocate and or implement our programs. And again, that is covered in 9.1 of the Constitution, and it relates to all those sources. Of course, we don't encourage too much the aspect of taking loans yet, but I think we need to ensure that we mobilize the resources in terms of ensuring that we are able to finance and fund our programs as the PBICT. The Constitution also talks to the bank accounts as to who should be the signatory and all those kind of things, and it's reflected there. And in terms of national account, it's obviously the president or chairperson, the general secretary, and the TG. In relation to provinces, it would be the chairperson, the secretary, and the treasurer in terms of ensuring that we deal with those things. Now, the other important aspect, and especially when you're dealing with issues of finances and so on, it becomes very critical to understand the importance of the segregation of duties, in that you don't want to have one person being able to do and or carry out a financial transaction from the beginning to the end unsupervised, because that could create problems. So it's a generally accepted good practice for financial duties to be undertaken in a manner that reflects authority and responsibility. And also, I think we need to highlight that while the NEC and PEC retains overall responsibility for financial management, clause 9.2.2 of the PBICT Constitution delegates some of these tasks, in particular to the office bearers that are listed in that clause of the Constitution. And also, comrades, I think the issue of segregation is not about, it's not necessarily a matter of trusting your comrade, but it's about safeguarding the organization from potential and fraud and or protecting the comrades from possible allegations that may crop up in cases where a person flies solo in terms of dealing with these kind of issues. Now, the role of the treasurer is also, we need to understand it as a supportive role, and also to a certain extent that of a watchdog over all aspects of the financial management of the organization, and also the treasurer needs to work closely with the finance committee, which are your signatories, to safeguard the organization's interests. But also the treasurer is responsible for resource mobilization towards fulfillment of objectives, but this role does not vest solely with the treasurer or the office of the treasury, but it vests with all of us in terms of being able to lobby support from our friends, family, and people that we interact with on daily basis who might have or may have an interest in supporting our agenda. We need to ensure that we are able to actually introduce those people to the PBICT, get them to go through our website so that they are familiar with the things that we do, encourage them to visit our Facebook page so that they have a sense of what it is that we are about and what it is that we are doing. That would enable us that when we approach these kind of people for a support and so on, they at least have a sense of what the PBICT is all about. We don't have to actually rehash the whole thing from scratch all over again, but at least we would be talking to people who have a sense or an idea of what the PBICT is all about. Of course, each office and project and program within the ICT should begin to actually engage and establish their annual budgets and submit to the respective, if it's a provincial structure, you do your budget, you send it to your provincial treasurer, so that as we do our funding proposals and so on, we are at least informed by the needs that exist within the various structures of the organization, so that we don't just go to funders and say we're looking for funding and we can't say what that funding is going to go to. So those are the kind of important aspects that we need to ensure that we engage with. Also, the office of the treasurer is responsible for general financial oversight within the organization. So we need to oversee and present budgets, accounts and financial statements, and these we present to whether it's the PEC or the NEC, depending on the level at which those transactions are occurring, liaising with designated staff about financial matters, ensuring appropriate financial systems and controls are in place, and ensuring record keeping and accounts meeting that meet the conditions of funding institutions and statutory bodies, because some of the funders, when they provide funding, they would provide you funding and they would specify as to what sort of things that such funding may be used for and may not be used for. So the role of the treasurer is to ensure that, in the interest of ensuring that there's good faith that continues to exist between the organization and its funders. We can't be asking for money to do something else and then that money is used on something else, because then when you report back to the funder, it creates a level of mistrust to say, hey, but you asked for money for something else and you used it for something else. So those are the important aspects that we believe we need to, as Treasury, highlight in terms of running the affairs of the organization. Also ensuring compliance with relevant policies of the PBICT, and not just the policies of the PBICT, but also legislation, because some of the aspects that we would deal with would also be covered by legislative prescripts. So in such instances, we have to also ensure compliance with those specific legislative prescripts. And a typical case in point is your annual returns, where be it tax or CIPC annual returns. Those are the kind of things that we need to ensure that we provide oversight over. Also, the office is responsible for dealing with issues around funding, fundraising, and sales. And when we talk about sales, the role of the treasurer is also to advise the PBICT in terms of its fundraising strategy, ensure use of funds complies with conditions set by the NEC, collecting membership subscription fees, because unfortunately, comrades, the era of in dealing with the affairs of the organization. Also, we need to ensure fundraising and sales complies with relevant legislation, and that we have effective financial systems and controls. And when we talk about sales, people might be wondering, hey, what is the TG talking about in terms of sales? We're looking at having like our online store that would be selling PBICT regalia and other artifacts, but also the things that in terms of the services that may be rendered by PBICT entities would also generate some form of income and so on. So we need to be able to keep records of all those kind of transactions as an organization and ensure effective monitoring and reporting as well. But also there's an aspect of financial planning and budgeting. I think I alluded to it earlier on partly, that we need to prepare and present budgets for new and ongoing work. We need to advise on financial implications of strategic and operational plans, present revised financial forecasts based on actual spend, because you may find that we may have forecasted certain things, and when it comes to implementation, we may be encountering challenges and so on. So we need to be able to highlight whenever there are variances and be able to say where those variances span from. And also aspects of financial reporting that treasuries need to keep and present regular reports on the financial position of the organization, prepare accounts for audit and liaising with the auditor as required, and present accounts at the NEC, NGC, and EPAGMs and so on in terms of provinces, advise on the PBICT as trading entities, and deal with the reserves and investment policies. If we're talking about trading entities, as you would recall that we've spoken about the establishment of PBICT cooperatives. So those would become trading entities as well of the PBICT. So the Treasury Office needs to also liaise with the board of the cooperative in terms of ensuring that the interests of the PBICT are indeed safeguarded in that regard. And in terms of control of fixed assets and stock, and I've just alluded to in terms of the assets, among other things, the issue of cooperatives, and then ensuring that if there are things that needs to be insured within the organization, that we deal with those aspects as well. And in all of these areas, the Treasury is responsible for ensuring that there's effective financial systems and procedures have been established and are being consistently followed and are in line with the best practices and comply with the legal requirements. I think that takes us to the end of the presentation, and effectively, comrades, we would like to appeal and call upon each one and all to, from time to time, please, comrades, let's make donations into the PBICT account, even if it's just if you can spare 100 rands at that particular point in time. And we are on lockdown now, comrades. So you see the money that we were budgeting for the booze over the weekends for Cubana and all, let's just put it into the PBICT account for now, so that it can generate some programs that would assist our members and our people in general. Thank you very much, SG. I think that takes us to the end of our presentation. I'm not sure if there would be a Q&A session, but if there is, we would be able to address and engage whatever questions or queries that may crop up. Thank you very much.
Good, thank you very much, TG. There was, let me see, did I spotlight you? What's happening in Spotlight? Okay, thank you very much, TG. Also, just before I bring the president on, I think he will maybe guide us as to if he wants to present and then do Q&As, or maybe do a Q&A, and then he can present, but definitely he will be closing this particular meeting and the session that we have. This session is meant for leaders, so I do see the Q&A happening as we have in other inductions. We have an engagement session. So I think maybe we can let the president do his presentation, and then thereafter we can have a consolidated Q&A that deals with all the aspects. So if anyone has questions or any type of clarity, we will then address it. And we'll also be looking at YouTube and Facebook to see who else is, if other members have any questions, because this is a combined induction, both for members to know about the organization, and two, for leaders to know their roles and responsibility to the organization and to the members. President, if you're ready.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Prez. Prez, just before I give you the floor, sorry, Prez, just quickly before I give you the floor, just to assist with some of the things that TG was saying, with regard to the membership, it's important that members please donate. It's important. Donate with your time, donate financially, because we have a free membership. The reason why we have a free membership is because we believe in access and ownership. So we want you to be able to get in, even if you have nothing. But when you do have something, it'll be very beneficial for the organization. And you can go to the website. There's a donate link. You'll get the EFT information. And I think that will make the TG very, very happy. Thank you very much. Prez, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chair of the session, TG, the chairperson, for unpacking the PBICT, and that's coming from straight from the heart. And this is showing, comrades, that PBICT is a movement for the people, and it's a movement by the people, and it's a movement that is with the people. I think my presentation, chairperson of the session, has pretty much been done by all of you. But what I want to remind the members, and the reason what I want to remind the leadership, that when it came to the PAGM and it came to the NEC meetings or the annual general conferences, and the members identified you and they said to you that we see you as a potential candidate to lead the struggle or to contribute to the struggle. The day you stood up and you said yes is the day you signed your death order. Progressive movements like the PBICT in this country today is a very difficult and complex thing to have. Now, if we have a progressive government that is led by a progressive movement, then, comrades, I want you to ask a question: why then do we have PBICT? Why must we, as Black people, Africans in particular, that suffered during apartheid, still have to fight now for access and ownership, whereas the constitution of this country, whereas the freedom charter of this country, whereas the struggle of this country was for us to be free? Then, comrades, why do we have progressive movements? So it's very difficult for you to be in an organization that is progressive and fighting the fight that the leading the leading government, or otherwise the leading party of this government, fought for, and many died for this. So, comrades, this has been a very difficult journey for us, and it's something that is very difficult to comprehend, and we still don't understand it. Now, the reason why we exist today is because if you have to look at the newspapers recently, they're predominantly white-owned, with white faces leading as CEOs or what, getting huge tenders. You go and you look at international companies, your Oracles, your SAPs, they get huge tenders, billions of rands worth of tenders, without even implementing, and have failed to implement solutions. You find that you have a government that is spending on ICT 15 billion per annum plus. 15 billion per annum plus. But where have you heard that a particular province has awarded a tender worth only just 1 million or even 100,000 to a consortium of SMMEs? Where have you heard that? And that was an illegal tender. It has never happened, which tells you that the fight here is bigger than all of us and is bigger than we know it. Now, comrades, this is a reason why in 2017 we had 379 members that came to Dubai Trade Port to establish PBICT, and today we have 5,000 members. Now that should tell you that there is definitely a need to lock down the procurement of government, shut it down completely, and rewrite BEE laws, rewrite the treasury laws, rewrite the SEM processes, go back to the constitution and listen to what the constitution intended to do, and listen to the people that voted for this government of what they need. There needs to be a lockdown of that, comrades. Just like how we're on lockdown now. But yet, comrades, every day we are finding all of these things happening. Now you're having your PCX and your telecoms being given to a tender without even going to procurement processes. Telkom is not a government entity. It's got PCX. And we know PCX come from Q Data from the back those days, PQ Africa days. It's a white-owned company. Now owns PCX and camouflaging to then be awarded huge tenders. And this continues to happen. Vodacom, transversal tenders for supplying cell phones and contracts to government. What about our SMMEs? So, comrades, the progressive in ICT is a very scary subject, and it is it's not a nice thing to have. And this is why, TG, we find it so difficult for us to be funded, because we stand for what is right, and no one wants to stand for what is right, unfortunately. This is why we do not get the support that we should be getting. And we have to always fight and constantly fight for it. Now, everything and every program that we have run here, comrades, has been run by what we call pledges, from what we call patriots. Whenever we need to run a program, we call to our members, and our members pull out their last cents to ensure that these programs happen. Today, we have an organization with a brand. Today, we have an organization with an identity, our identity, an organization that we can call home, and that organization is PBICT. Comrades, I want to remind you that we are far from being an organization, because we are still a struggle. The unfortunate part, we are a struggle within a struggle. Those of you networking, Rotsani, will know when we're talking about a Q in Q. This is what we are. We're an organization, a Q in Q. Because we are a VLAN tagged within a VLAN. We are a struggle within a struggle, fighting the outer struggle, so that it opens the doors that they promised, and it opens the doors that we fought for. So it is difficult to be progressive and to be black in this time, in this day of age, and in this sector. Let me go to black, comrades. The black in PICT has nothing to do with race. Absolutely nothing to do with race. Now, we had a huge debate, and this is an ongoing debate of whether we should say we are black or whether we should say that we are African. It just so happens, comrade, that in this country, Africans are associated with the black, the people that are in darkness, the people that are prevented from accessing opportunities, the people that do not have connectivity is our people, is our African people. The SMMEs that are suffering, the SMMEs that are finding it difficult to get funding for their innovations is black people, African people. It just so happens that it happens in this country that it is associated with that. But the black in progressive in our organization, comrade, is talking about the black that is in this country. It's talking about the social divide. It's talking about the digital divide. It talks about the exclusion. It talks about the promotion of an elite class of the few to go and project and to be there at the top and make it seem as if this country, everything is okay. It is not. It is not. That is what we refer to, when we're talking about black is beautiful, black is excellent, black is a color. White is not a color. Black is a color. It is something. Now, when we're talking about black, we talk about excellence, because we come from a culture where our history has shown a lot of excellence that has been buried and a lot of it that has been killed. If you talk about Ubuntu, Ubuntu is the way of the world. If you talk about how we live, my comrade, I mean it. That is black excellence, comrades. And that is something that we must inspire and something that we need to rebuild, and we need to go back to that thing. We are the first ones in Africa, it's the first universities, comrades. Look at history. You find all these beautiful findings and you find all these beautiful innovation and inventions by black people. Black excellence is what we strive for. It is not a race. It is just an unfortunate thing that in this country, in this continent, where we are the majority, we are the ones that are suffering. We are the ones that must import technologies. We are the ones that must depend on China, must depend on USA, depend on the Middle East, depend on everyone else. We are the ones that must be forced to use matrix systems that come from abroad. We are the ones whose culture and whose being and our identity has been destroyed over time and over years, and it continues to be so. It is a difficult struggle, comrades. Now, comrades, when we started this thing, we looked at information and communication technology. In communication, we're looking at multimedia, video production, and those things. But recently, comrades, as the SG was saying when he was presenting, is that we looked and said there's this thing that is 4IR, this era that we're in. And in 2017, comrades, you will remember that when we went to conference, we had an entire breakaway session that spoke about 4IR and what we need to do in preparing for this. And from that time, comrades, we've been talking to government, we've been fighting government connectivity, make sure that our people are connected. We are here as SMMEs, we can connect our people, we can build community networks. We've been talking like this and been saying this here for years. Today we are on lockdown, our people are not connected, our children are the ones that are not in school. They do not have these WhatsApp apps, they do not have these Zooms, they do not have all of these things. Students in varsities are losing out from their right of learning, of growing, because they do not have opportunity for this. Why? Because we've been saying these things, but no one has been listening. But yet today, comrades, you find that your ICASAs are quick to deliver spectrum and give it to these big telcos, but all we asked for was open TV white space for black SMMEs, for us to roll out community networks, and it's been weeks and weeks and weeks, and they haven't released that. Why must we fight all the time? Why must it be so difficult to empower black people? We are the ones as SMMEs that are employing the people that are rejected from the very industries and the very sectors. We are the ones that's employing them. We are the ones that's creating these jobs. We employ the unemployable every day. We give them that work opportunity so that they can have that one day to buy that bread or to do whatever it is that you're doing. So why don't we get that support? You have these funding agencies that don't even understand IT, they don't even understand us, and yet you find that you have to talk to a person and say, on why do I need to build a platform for us to have webinars on? Why do we have to fight for all of those things, comrades? When it comes to the fourth industrial revolution, we then came up with the concept that we said that as PBICT, we are going to push, and from now on, we are not representing the ICT sector, we are representing the Steamie sector. And when we talk about the Steamie sector, comrades, our members, and to all of you that are in the provinces and the newly elected leadership, we are talking about science. Anyone that is in the field of science, be it natural science, anything. If you are in agriculture, your home is in PBICT. You cannot succeed in agriculture today without using technology at some point in time. You need to have an e-commerce platform to sell your fruit. You need to have Facebook, promote yourself. You need to have email. You need to have a bank account and internet so that you can transact. You need to have access to the internet so that you can communicate with other farmers. And this goes for each and every sector. So science, comrades, those are the people, and that is what we call for technology. Technology is leading the world, and technology today has proven that it can outlive and outsurvive a virus that has shut down economies, that has killed people, that has done so much and caused countries to go on lockdown. But technology has shown to be resilient. We are in the right space. We need to start to develop our own technologies. We need to support people that use technology. Technology is not just about me writing a program or about me developing an application. No, it's not. But it's technology. Sort of how you do your garden. That is technology, comrades. When we're talking about engineering, we're talking about making things. We need to start to make our things. Everything you see in this country is made in China, is made in Germany, is made in USA. What happened to the engineering of South Africa? We are such good engineers. We do not want to Africa. But when you go deep into it and you really look at what our engineering capabilities are, you fall on your back. Mark Shuttle had to leave, so did Elon Musk, because of the such things. Because as a country, we do not embrace engineering. Comrades, mathematics is the thing of the future. Everything is about maths. But yet in this country, we have maths is about 30% to 20%. That, comrades, are the things that we need to change, and these are the things that we are fighting for. Like the chairperson said, that where we agree, we will agree, and we will support you fully. Where we disagree, we will disagree equally. So we totally disagree with maths. We taught next generations to be dependent and technology slave, be science slave, be engineering slave to the west and to the east and to the north and to everyone else who's embraced maths. We're calling on mathematicians that they must join PBICT, make sure that we build. Without maths, you cannot build an algorithm, comrades. So these are the fights that we are talking about. When we are talking about arts, comrade, we are a country rich with arts. We've got talent, we've got all of those things. And right now, our content and our content engineering, our multimedia, you name it, all of those people in that industry, the people that are in radio, the people that are in film, the people that are in graphic design, all of those people who are saying that this is your home, those are the people we must recruit. And these are the things we must fight for. Because without that, comrades, we will not have the art to teach our people in our way, in our language. We communicate through music. We communicate through dance. We communicate through beautiful languages, African languages that cannot be understood. We communicate through a beautiful culture that cannot be understood, that will never be understood by Chinese, that will never be understood by European, by an American or whoever you are. I don't care. So those people, we need comrades to embrace them, and that is what we are fighting for. Innovation, comrades, is key. We are the best innovators. We have a country and a continent of young people. And those people are the people that are innovating the things of today. We need to embrace those. So those innovators out there, comrades, let us call them, let them join the organization, and let's move together and start innovating. And we're saying that local is mojo. We're calling on government, we're calling on the private sector, we're calling on all these multinationals, even the international companies, that when you come here to this country, use our innovation, embrace it, and that is what you must prioritize on. These are the things that we're looking at, comrades. Entrepreneurship, comrade, is the hardest thing ever. And yet the entrepreneurs are the ones that are building this country every day. Those people that go to, we suffer everything. We try to build this country. We build this economy. We are the ones that make the things move. And we need to be recognized, comrades. So if you're an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter whether you are making sanitizers, you are making masks, or you selling food at the tax together. And this is all about using technology to unlock and to open doors for the people in science, for the people in technology, in engineering, in arts, in maths, in innovation, and those entrepreneurs. And comrades, you have taken a very, very bad decision by saying that you are available and that you are coming to stand here, because this how much can you sacrifice? How much can you sacrifice of your knowledge? How much can you sacrifice of your energy to assist in ensuring that we achieve the hashtag access and ownership?
Okay, comrades, it seems like the president has lost connectivity. We'll just wait for him to come back. Meanwhile, I think hey, has my video started? You know, the technology, yeah, shy now and again, although with PBICT, there we go, comrades. So yeah,
I've always told President that.
I've
always told President to not go to this edge network of his.
Yeah, because it always kawatas him, eh? Always kawatas him. And this is why that broadband project needs to roll out quite strongly in every province, that is, because when we have a constant connectivity throughout, you know, so using tools like Zoom and WhatsApp and other tools, hopefully they'll be developed in the country, we'll have that constant connectivity, you know, and not only rely on you know, cell phone towers. You must have options, you know. It'll make life very easy. So yeah, we'll just wait. I hope his phone didn't die or anything. Can we just try getting hold of Leon and see if... So yeah, and I think why I love these inductions is that even if sometimes we feel that we've heard the message, we now are able to hear the message and we can query on certain things that are not clear. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to have, although we anticipated this to end at 8, I think the Q&A is something that'll be very helpful. And it'll be a good takeaway for every member of PBICT and every leader of PBICT. I can see the president's profile is still here. Let me just see something. There's a very high chance that he got disconnected. Very, very high chance. I don't know if our chairperson is still here. Me, I'm just chairing the session, yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so I think it just responded. So yeah, we'll see if we can get back in again. It's definitely connected.
I propose that in the interim, Comrade GS, maybe whilst we're waiting for the president to reconnect, if there are those questions that may have cropped up, maybe if we handle those whilst we try to get the president back on board. Thanks, Chief.
All right. Yeah, it looks like he's back. TG. Back on, man. Press.
Hey, sorry. Hey, sorry, comrades. You know, comrades, are those people that live in the haves and those that live in the have-nots. So I guess that we, unfortunately, still living in the areas of the have-nots. You comrades are lucky because you live in the areas of the haves.
All right, the floor is yours, Press.
Also 550, 500.
Hey, this edge network.
Yeah, no, I think. Thank you very much. I don't know. I don't know when did you stop hearing me because I was just choking.
Aye, bo, Press.
I know, Chair. I think you.
Comrades, looks like we lost Press again. So, TG, I appreciate the thing, the submission. However, can I have a counter proposal that I just maybe log onto the website because it's part of the administrative tool, and I never really got a chance to, go through it. So when we start with the Q&A, we don't miss the flow of the Q&As. So I think maybe I can just quickly just take us to the website for now. I'll just share my screen until the president is back, comrades. So, comrades, as you see, our website is not just a website. It's also a tool. And it's a tool because it has a membership system. And that membership system allows us to have members subscribe, and we are able to log in, obviously sign up and then log in at a later stage, and we'll further furnish it with more benefits for members when they log in, like minutes of NEC resolutions and those type of things. And also we ensure that we have a recapture, so we don't have any malware registering phantom members. So we've taken some precautions. So some of the things that you'd see here, comrades, is all here on the website in terms of here's our activities that we ran through, our aims, character, purpose, background, and all of these type of things. It's all there already. So go out there, read about it. We have a new stream, as you see. I think it's good to see what's been happening, and we update as much as we can. But I mean, it's administratively heavy to continuously have news happening here. So the ones that we can capture during that time, we can. Here, this is a very nice video of the president. This is at the founding conference at Dubai Trade Port. This is a very powerful video that the president, after him being elected, was greeting the organization. I think it's very important that we also have access to that. Comrades, we have structures. So as you've seen, every province has, and we just update information as much as we can. So each province will be able to see its membership. I think this one, is it fine? Oh, yes, it is. So there's small things we're working on. But yeah, you'll be able to see the leaders, and you'll be updating information. So it's important. Some of these are newly elected NECs, like Northern Cape, Northwest just refreshed, KZN also refreshed. So you get to see it. We try updating this as fast as we can. In terms of Q&As, this is an active session, and I'd also advise all of the secretaries to please go through this. And every question that you get as a leader in PBICT and you feel needs to be addressed, we will then have to contribute to this, where we create now a question and an answer as to why, and any other problems that they face with on how do you get hold of provincial leadership? How do you get hold of this? How do you, so these questions, secretaries, please ensure that you submit any Q&A you feel needs to be on the website to help. If the comrades see access to information, internet for all of these things are there, but sometimes, we get a bit lazy and complacent. We don't read. And then we have the basic offices, which if you want to send an email, you're able to do so. Praise, are you back? TG will be very
President is back online, Chair.
Okay. TG will be happy here, comrades. So please feel free, comrades. Here's the FNB account. It's there, it's operating. Donate anything you have. 20 Rand.
We had him, he was just calling out for you just now.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me just stop my presentation, my screen. Chris, you there?
Yeah, yes. Thank you, Chair, and apologies, comrades, for this interruption. But I was just landing, as my esteemed chairperson, my favorite chairperson would say, Comrade Tukolani from Eastern Cape. Comrades, I was saying that by us accepting to lead an organization like Progressive Blacks in ICT, like you've heard the TG, like you've heard the chair, as well as the SG talking, is that this is not an easy thing to do. And comrades, unfortunately, by you being in this year, you will face a lot of victimization. If you're an SMME, you will lose opportunities, then you will gain opportunities. If you are a professional and you have accepted to be in a leadership position, unfortunately, comrades, you will get victimization at work and all of those things. It is not an easy task, but it's something that must be done, comrades. It was never easy being a comrade during the times of apartheid. It was never easy, comrades. We had to hide. We had to do all of those things. We were victimized. We were murdered. We were hunted down. Such is the case today, my fellow comrades. GG, that is what makes it very difficult, like I said, whether we want to raise money. But the good thing, TG, and the thing that keeps us going, SG, is that every day our membership is growing. Every month our membership is growing. And that there is a need for PBICT. Comrades, no one will do this. I want to thank you for being the one that stands out in the room amongst the millions in this country to say that I want to make this change. I want to make this impact. And I want to sacrifice everything to make sure that I'm part of this movement and I'm part of the change, not for me, not for the comrades now, but for the children tomorrow and their children to come. Freedom, comrades, is never easy. It's not an easy thing to have. We may have political freedom. We do not have economic freedom. We do not have the land. You may think that the struggle of the land has nothing to do with you because of where you are. I've just spoke about Steamie, comrades. We're just talking about internet for all. Today, comrades, if you want to put a tower anywhere, mountains and the high sides belong to white people in this country. It's not being racist, it's a fact. And you will find difficulty, Rutani, in building networks. Larry's, you'll find difficulties in building networks. And those things are still controlled by people that have absolutely no interest whatsoever in transforming this country. If you go to the BEE, ICT BEE sector, why do we have a white person being the CEO to transform black people? That can never happen, comrades, can never happen. Why do we have your Vodacoms and MTNs and whoever representatives coming and sitting in transformation agendas? They do not understand it. They do not live it. They do not see the pain. They do not suffer from the lack of transformation in this country. All they can do is to defend themselves and to defend the wealth that they are sharing and to defend and protect the data monopoly that they have, the digital monopoly that they have. We cannot allow, comrades, for transformation agendas to be in people's hands that do not experiences, that do not know what it is. These are the things, comrades, and this is why we need to mobilize and fight hard, that we take our strongest people and we make sure that they are sitting in the right places. Now, comrades, we always talk about one thing. That is the problem in this country. One thing. And that thing, comrades, is you've got the wrong people sitting in the right seats, making the wrong decisions for the right people, and that is the majority. And we must suffer because of that. Such things, comrades, we need to be very vocal about, and we need to change. Now, that is why I said, by you joining PBICT, you are joining an organization that does not owe anyone any favors. You're talking about an organization that knows what is right. And that right is what is right for the majority of the people. And that is what we stand for. That is our core existence. It's for us to stand for the right thing, for the right people. We need to fight against the wrong decisions that are being made. Our people are suffering. And our people are suffering at the time when we are being led by a progressive government. A government that we supported, a government that we support, a government that we believe in, a government that we have entrusted, a government that we trust in. But yet we must fight for a simple thing, comrades, and the simple thing is opportunity. We are told, comrades, that we need jobs. There's no jobs. People are unemployed. We don't want those jobs. We don't want to have anything to do with employment. We want opportunities. We want business opportunities. We want government to live to its mandate and to its promise, and to open funding opportunities for Black people. We want to create our own work, not jobs. We don't want to work for people. We want to create our own work. We want to create our own empires. We want to create our own wealth for our own people. We do not want jobs. We want opportunities. We want the legislations to change and to be relaxed. We want the 185 billion that is shared by MTN, Vodacom, Telkom, Cell C, you name it. We want that to be shared amongst our people. We want the 15 billion that government is spending on ICT to be shared, with 70% of it to be shared amongst our people, our SMMEs. We want the private sector to share their 20 plus odd million, I don't know whatever it is, that they are busy giving to white SMMEs and privileged SMMEs, where they must open up and they must give it to the majority of the SMMEs. At PBICT, we have more than 3,000 SMMEs. And then people tell us you do not find these SMMEs. Yet the very same people that they contract come and subcontract us to come and do the work when they can't do it. We are here. We know what we are doing. We have the skills. We have the passion. We have the know-how. And we are saying hashtag access and ownership today or never, comrades. And this is the time for us to reflect and for us to learn. And we're calling on government, we're calling on the private sector that as they are sitting at home during this lockdown and making all of these decisions, we're saying to them that they must consider and start looking at developing people where we need to be developed. If you have never been an SMME, do not come and tell me that you have an SMME development program. It will never succeed. You've never been an SMME. If you've been an SMME and you're working for government or you're working for Vodacom and you are told that you're an SMME development specialist, you are a failed SMME. Don't come and tell me that you've developed me of how to fail. PBICT knows how to develop SMMEs and what needs to be done. So stop taking all of these people that claim that they know how to develop SMMEs and come to us and we will tell you and we will assist you and build and develop the right SMMEs. That is what PBICT, comrades, is all about. We are fighting access and ownership, school by day, varsity by night, local is Moja, and that, comrades, is PBICT, And to you, I welcome as members of the PBICT and as the leadership of the PBICT. And I say to you that the struggle is not over. We will continue to stand, and we will stand again until the day that we have access and ownership. Thank you very much, comrades, and thank you very much, my leaders, and welcome to PBICT. I thank you.
Thank you very much.
President.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thanks, comrades. I think then, comrades, although we about 7 minutes out of our original time, I don't think it's important. The most important thing is to get value from this session here. If there's any questions, comrades, by raise of hands, I mean, the president spoke already, you know, after he speaks, there's nothing much that can be said, you know. So if there's any questions, comrades, you can lift your hands. I think, comrades, just for time issues, let's be selective with questions. And then what we can do is maybe allow for about, it is Friday afternoon. Let's just push for 10 questions. I'm sure they can be answered quite quickly. And whilst we still have the president in our midst, if there's anything that if you want to direct it to the president, I can't see the chair. I can't see, she's not on. I think she's still tied up. I know she has a lot of work. Maybe something that myself, the president, and Comrade Sbu, DTG is also here, who's the deputy treasurer, and Comrade Mordecai is also here as part of the NEC. So if there's any questions, comrades, you wish to ask, you may raise your hands. If there isn't, then I'm sure we'd be able to close the session, close this induction. I think it has great rewatch value. So if you feel you missed something, go back to Facebook or YouTube to rewatch this entire thing. If you need any clarity, and this is why we do these webinars and capture them. So immediately after they're done, you have access. Remember, you're looking for access and ownership. So you have access to the information. You'll have ownership of the knowledge from this too. So it's very important. If comrades are satisfied somehow, some way, it's fine. I think we then will proceed to close the meeting. And yeah, we'll take it from there. So comrades, I'll give a few seconds for any hands to appear if you wish to ask any questions. Let me just read some stuff. Meanwhile, while we wait, I'll just go onto YouTube. I think I saw something on YouTube. We have some comments. Uzagiti Zungu said, very informative session. Very happy, and if he finds it of value, I think we've achieved what we aim to do. Connected and by Kagiso Malaj says, connectivity is my passion. I hope I didn't butcher your surname, Kagis, and your name. I hope I pronounced it right. He says here, connectivity is my passion. I want to see our African people, our Black people have connectivity. This is a basic need, and I'm happy that he sees it that way. Mojali Fa says, leadership, let's own our networks. So there's a strong support for Black-owned networks who will service Black people also. As I said, because we understand our problems, that means that we'd be able to solve them a bit better because we are the custodians of the solutions also that we want to provide. And Uzagiti also says, oh, okay, when nothing was happening, that's fine. And I don't think there's any comments from Facebook, comrades, or any questions. Let me just check before we close. I know there's some people still watching. Okay, there's just greetings and those type of things. You can see that good stuff, Kole, always featuring as always on the Facebook feeds. Comrades, I'd like to thank everyone for attending, and those who are watching on YouTube and Facebook. I'd like to thank you also for attending from the comfort of your home, using your data, and those who will be watching this after the 15th of May, 2020. I'd like to congratulate you for going through this video and watching everything and absorbing the information. And I hope that you take the passion, you take the drive that everybody has for every member and those who are also leaders to move forward with the fight. And if this shows 20 years from now, I hope that we still continue to inspire. And some of us are old men and we're tired. We just want to play with our grandkids. We've known that we contributed, and the next generation is able to continue if there's a need. But we hope within our lifetime that PBICT reimagines itself as something, not what this is, not the fight that the president was talking about, but reimagines ourselves in a more progressive and a more prosperous future. So we're hoping for a reimagination in a near future. That'll mean that our work has been done and we have fought for access and we have fought for ownership. Thank you very much, and everyone have a good evening. Bye.